Good morning, Ichigo, and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is Griever with your episode of Bleach review, episode 17. This is a great episode because once again, I decided to look up how the different arcs work, manga versus episode and stuff, and I don't really agree with the start and end of everything, so to speak, and even the breakdown arcs, like the mini arcs or how you break them down. Some of the time I don't really fully agree with the start and end of some of them. So I would say that right here, this is the end of the substitute Shinigami arc. The first arc of Bleach. The introduction arc, right? From here on, we're into Soul Society. Just because we're not there yet doesn't mean that it's not the beginning of the Soul Society arc. We ended it off. Ichigo lost his fight. He lost. Rukia is gone. That to me is closure. That's the end of the first part, right? So this is a really good final episode in my opinion because the first half, we already had episode 16, which we had the setup for the fight and they were fighting and everything. And now we have this episode, which the first half is him losing and the second half is the setup, to start up the setup for the next arc. And I'm really happy about this because we get a little bit of lore, a little bit of stuff here. We have the mention of Kaien Shiba, not by name, of course, but Byakuya referencing to Rukia. He does bear a striking resemblance to that man, I understand. However, I'm going to kill him anyway, sort of a thing. This episode has got to be one of my favorite thus far because, for one thing, Kisuke-centric, right? I love my Urahara Kisuke episodes. He is probably my favorite character in Bleach. So any scene with him in it is usually a good scene, right? For the most part here, I took plenty of screenshots of the fight. It was a really cool fight and such. And we all know about the lock. Like, some people might complain. Like, I've been making little nitpicks about Uryu's character, about Renji's character, about Rukia basically getting eaten by Fishbone D. That's kind of lame sort of idea. Though, one of the things at the very least that you guys might think that I would complain about is the fact that Renji went into Shikai and somehow still got caught off guard to the point that he took a couple of blows and he was still losing and he was being overpowered by Ichigo before training with Urahara. The reason that I'm okay with this is because we all know later on, once again, it's all about that future thing, because up to this point, those nitpicks I have had would not become prevalent until you go back and rewatch after seeing the whole series. And in retrospect, you also have things explained. So if the power scaling here felt a little off, we all know about Hitsugaya and his whole speech about how high-ranking Shinigami, lieutenant and captain class, all have locks put on them when they enter the human world. So I forget what the exact numbers are and such, but Renji and Byakuya right now are not nearly at full strength when they're in the human realm, because the lock release, the restriction lock, a release, Alucard level restriction level 1, that kind of thing, that's not prevalent here. It's clearly in place. We don't know about it yet, but so that kind of shortens that gap a little bit. It's starting to squeeze it shut. And it was still really cool. Ichigo just letting his spirit energy, which he has a ridiculous amount. Even Retsu Unohana remarked the fact that he had a stupid amount of spirit energy. And we always knew this. He has way too much. He's got just an endless supply. Uryu mentioned it when he was fighting the Menos. He's letting it go like a faucet. The only reason he isn't noticing that he's left the tap on is because he's hooked up to the water commission, and there's no meter on that tap apparently. Like, nobody's checking it. Nobody's saying, hey, here's your 3-month bill, by the way. You owe us $2,576.89. Here you go, because you left the goddamn water running, you fool, for 3 months. Nobody's checking it. He's not being put in check, so Ichigo's spirit energy is just through the roof. So I'm good with all that. and I thought the fight was really cool, and the fact that Ichigo doesn't realize he's doing it, it's a subconscious thing. Renji recognizes kind of what's going on, but he's very caught off guard, and all this stuff. This is where Byakuya just shing, done. I love how he doesn't do it once, he does it twice. Like the first time he does it, we don't even know what's happened. And then Byakuya is just still standing where he was, nonchalant, and he's holding Ichigo's goddamn blade. He's just holding the broken part of the blade that he already broke, and he's just standing there. And then, ching. And then the next time, he just, oh, is he coming? He's already past him. And he stabbed him. He's like, I can't even tell if I was attacked from the back or the front. Renji's like, I didn't even see the first strike. Like, that poor bastard, that poor kid is on the floor not even realizing he's been stabbed yet. Like, that's how fast he was cut down. It's such a cool introduction to Byakuya and his attitude. We see it here. English dub is done very well for all the characters here. Like, all of them. With Renji, with Byakuya, with Rukia, with Ichigo. The scene here, especially with Ichigo still having bravado. Everyone's like, oh, he's lying there dead on the ground. Like Rukia's screaming at Renji, and Renji's like, you moron, he's already dead, blah, blah, blah. And Byakuya's trying. It's strange that he's almost consoling his sister. He's almost being compassionate in a sense. I understand, Rukia. This man bears a striking resemblance to him. However, this will not stand. Or whatever the hell he says. That's when Ichigo and his goddamn bravado just won't let up. He just grabs the hem of the Shihakusho of Byakuya's clothing. He's just like, why don't you look at me when you talk? He's like, let go. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you from all the way down there, talking to me like I'm not even here. Not dead yet, bitch. Look at me when you talk to me, sort of idea. And this bravado is fantastic, but we all know that Byakuya was going to cut his damn arm off. And at this point, Rukia was just beside herself. And she hasn't been able to do anything, so now she knows the way to do it. Ichigo recognizes, I think, to a point later on. Like, I like the fact that it's not one of those complete misunderstandings for an entire arc or anything. I mean, it wouldn't set up a very good rescue arc if he was still begrudgingly like, she doesn't want me, she told me she hates us now, and he believed it. He didn't believe it in the moment, but later on came to understand why she did that. She saved him from Byakuya, and by kicking him and saying, I'll never forgive you if you try to come after me. Don't touch my brother like that. And I'm ready to go. I'm going to sacrifice myself. You're going to die. Just why not live a few moments longer? It's such a memorable scene. It's such a classic scene. I really got caught up in the moment, and I didn't take many screenshots of it because I just got caught up, and I was like, this is where it all started. This is where Bleach, these last couple episodes have been Bleached finest, and the setup to, once again, I'm going to keep praising it, the greatest shonen arc, like top 5, easy, in all shonen, right here. It's about to happen. And then, of course, we know that they go through the gate and they leave. Rukia looks back and the gate's closed. Classic scene. Now, Uryu and Ichigo are laying there bleeding out. Urahara, thankfully, shows up. Urahara, of course, being the savior of the day, he shows up. And he even recognizes, because I like how, even when I was a kid or a teenager watching this, I like the fact that I had the question of, if this guy is so damn strong, why didn't he show up to help and stuff? But it's all answered. I like the fact that you don't need to go necessarily to the manga or the Japanese subs for basic explanations. A lot of the time, this English dub handled it very well. Kisuke remarks in this whole thing after he saves Ichigo, he saves Uryu. There's a conversation about how Uryu's feeling like down on himself, like I can't save her and stuff. And once again, why Uryu wants to save Rukia? Because if anybody's going to beat those guys, it certainly isn't me. The only one who can save Rukia is you, Ichigo. If he, once again, Uryu's character, the one flaw of this episode, and I don't want to blame the episode for it, it's just, Uryu should be happy about this. Soul Reaper dead in Ichigo, and Rukia left. Now there's no Soul Reapers. Now it's just him, back in Karakura Town. I mean, he doesn't, maybe he knows Urahara's a Soul Reaper, probably, maybe not, but either way, like, why does he think, oh, Ichigo's got to go save Rukia, and I can't do it, I'm not strong enough? What? Like, once again, Uryu's just turning over a new leaf just at random, at the drop of a hat after being a prick, and doesn't want to kill all Soul Reapers all of a sudden. It, once again, doesn't make any sense. But after this, of course, we get into the Urahara's house, and everything goes down there. That conversation with Uryu, of course, is relayed to Ichigo and that kind of such. This is where Ichigo gets a little down on himself, but they only do it for about a small portion of this episode. Like, I can't do it, it can't be done. She's going back to the Soul Society. Woe is me, I'm weak, I'm useless. And I like that Urahara here, once again, going back to my original point, answers the question. Like, I let you go ahead and fight them. Because if you remember, he's the one, he was there, he was probably on standby. He's the one with his cane allowed Ichigo to go in the first place. To get into his Soul Reaper form. To go fight and save Rukia sort of idea. But of course, we all know Urahara's big plans about this anyways. But either way, I like that it was answered right here that he didn't help because he was like, I'm trying to teach you a lesson. And I thought getting it through your thick skull that words wouldn't work. You need to see the power. It's kind of like Luffy. Luffy can be told, you can't beat up a Yonko, you can't beat up an Admiral. And you know what the thing is in One Piece? The difference is, Episode 1 Luffy is no different than Episode 1000 Luffy. In the sense that you tell him he can't do something, he's going to go try to do it anyways. You can't beat up, a Yonko. Yeah, well, you can't beat up a warlord. Yeah, well, you can't beat up an Admiral. What have you. Every single time, Luffy won't listen until he gets his ass beat. He has to learn. It's like Rayleigh. Rayleigh has to be like, listen, you're no good. Sort of. So here, in this sense, Kisuke was just trying to do it like the tough love lesson. He was on standby. He wasn't going to let Ichigo die. However, he thought that he might learn his lesson, but clearly he didn't. And then we see the shadow or the aura of Benihime inside of the cane when he's basically does his sort of... Kisuke Urahara has this very weird way about him where he acts like a dork. He acts all like a kind of like a hippie, like a drug dealer sort of idea, shady character, just always goofing off and such and happy-go-lucky. But then he has these serious moments where he's kind of vindictive, kind of like scary in a sense, where it's just like, you think you're ready to fight them? Are you a goddamn idiot? Where he just gets on his ass and he's just like, I let you go ahead to fight them, you moron, because I knew if I told you, you'd go and try to do it anyway. But now you know the difference in strength. You need to train with me. Why don't you get that? If you don't train with me, you're gonna die. You can't go to the Soul Society in the way you are now. You'll be slaughtered. No ands, ifs, or buts. And this is Kisuke talking. He knows his parentage. He knows Ishin and Masaki and the whole, he's going to make him a visor. He knows what he's doing. And he's still going, yeah, you can't get by on what you are right now. This will not work for you. So I like that Kisuke has this side to him where he's just like, okay, whoa. I let people run amok and I'm just kind of like blasé, just hanging back. Let things kind of work out sort of idea. Okay, no. But when he has to step in, he wants people to listen. And he gets that bit of that scariness, a bit of the, the shadow on his eyes and the seriousness and the whole kind of that creepiness in his voice. It's really good. So now he's going to train with Kisuke. We see Yoruichi, of course, in the background. And now we're going to start the whole training regiment before we get to the Soul Society. I like the training regimen part. It's pretty good. So the next episode should be fire. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I know this was a longer one, but there was a lot to talk about because this, to me, is the end of the Shinigami arc, the Substitute Shinigami arc, and the beginning of the Soul Society arc officially right here, the second half of the episode, in my opinion. So, what did you guys think? What do you think of that opinion, actually? Do you think that this is a good cutoff? I would like to think so, but let me know your thoughts down in the comment section down below. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll be back here for episode 18. It's been Griever with your Bleach episode reviews. See ya.